class, welcome to Sewing Machine Anatomy. Although we will not be dissecting anything, and I promise, no frogs or frog fabric. Technically, this is actually not frog fabric, it's crocodile, alligator. So that I showed you this right now in the middle of the video, it doesn't count because they're alligators. What we're actually gonna do is discover your machine and talk about its working parts. This is one of the little projects that there's a tutorial for, and look how cute it is. It's this fun notebook, and you'll be sewing this before too long. It wouldn't be a bad idea to go find a notebook like this so that you can take notes on this video. Either that, or you'll wanna watch this 10 or 23 times until you know all of these parts very well. Because in upcoming videos, I will no longer explain to you what these parts are. I'm just going to expect you to know that when I tell you to put the vinyl down towards the feed dog side, that you know the feed dogs are not something that you have to feed and they don't work. So if we're going to be talking about the parts of your machine, first you're going to need your machine. Are you so excited? It's your sewing machine. Let's open this thing up. The first thing that you're gonna see, and this is super important, is this bag right here. You may look at it and be like, what is all that? Let's throw it out. Don't do that. This bag, it's gold. You need everything in this bag. Put it, in your jewelry box, find an expensive, I don't know. You find a great place for this, put it someplace safe.
Keep it safe.
I'm gonna put mine on my kitchen table. Then you're gonna find the styrofoam. This styrofoam is not important at all. Then you'll find a bag. Inside that bag is a bunch of directions and also a DVD that apparently teaches you how to use this machine. But you can also get rid of that because you have me and I'm gonna show you how to thread your machine. But if you'd rather be bored and watch their version, or if you don't understand me and you'd rather not be on YouTube, you can use that one. Last but not least, your machine. Now let's take this baby onto a different spot and I'll unwrap it and show you the rest.
Before we talk about your machine, let's take a look at what's in that special bag. These are your accessories. First, our feet. And no, these are not the type of feet with toes. These are sewing feet, and each has a special purpose. The one on the left is a buttonhole making foot, the second is a zipper foot, and the third is for sewing on buttons. Next up are bobbins, and we'll be talking more about these in the future. These are extra needles for your sewing machine, along with a little screwdriver that will fit inside of the needle clamp in case you have to change a needle. Now let's take a look at your machine. The first thing you'll want to do is take out that foot pedal that's inside and then remove all of the tape and the cardboard packaging. Now with that cardboard, you're gonna have to lift up on the presser foot, find that little knob and lift up, and then you can remove the cardboard. Once that is done, we can take a look at the rest of the machine.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is this
Foot pedal.
It actually plugs into the side of your machine. I'll show you.
Once you've plugged the foot pedal into the side of the machine, you need to grab the other end and plug it into the wall. Before you can do anything else with your machine, you need to turn it on. Push up to turn it on. You'll notice the light turns on when you turn your machine on. That way you always know when it's on. Now that your machine is on, let's see what it can do. Put your foot on the foot pedal and push. It's just like the gas pedal on a car. The faster you want to go, the more you're going to want to push on the foot pedal. And if you want to slow down, then you lift your foot off the pedal. You would not want to do this once the machine is threaded, but without thread in the machine, it's a really good opportunity to get to know the foot pedal and how it works. Practice pushing on the foot pedal faster and slower and faster and slower until you get the hang of how fast the machine will go depending on how much you push on or lift off the pedal. Now let's talk about feet, specifically the presser foot. This is the presser foot, and it's actually pretty talented. It can do a lot of cool things, and it likes to wear different outfits. You can change a presser foot just like you can change an outfit. There are zipper presser feet, buttonhole presser feet, and zigzag feet. Mainly though, it controls the needle and the top part of the fabric, and you determine which foot to use based on which task you want to perform. This next part you already used when removing the cardboard from underneath the presser foot. It's called the presser foot lever, and it makes the presser foot go up or down. To make the presser foot go up, then you want to lift the lever. And if you want the presser foot to go down, then you push the lever. You're going to be using this part a lot. Every time you put fabric underneath the presser foot to get ready to sew, you will need to have that lever up. And to secure it just before sewing, you're going to push that lever down. The lever actually has another function of going even higher up, and you'll use that when you have very big fabrics or bulky things to put underneath, and then you can make the foot go an even higher level. Another important part is the hand wheel. If you wanted, you could manually crank the machine and sew rather than using the foot pedal to sew. That would take a very long time, but you could do it. Sometimes when you're sewing through a lot of fabric or things are a tight squeeze, you'll want to sew manually using the hand wheel. In fact, that's often the only way you can do it. Just turn the wheel towards you. Never, ever, ever turn it away from you. Always turn the wheel towards yourself, and that will move the needle into the fabric so you can sew without the foot pedal. You'll notice as you move the wheel towards yourself, the needle goes down further into the machine. This is called burying the needle, and that's important because when you're sewing around a corner, you often bury the needle while lifting the presser foot so you can turn the fabric. You'll be using that a lot, so remember burying the needle. That place where the needle goes is called the needle plate. It is the metal plate under the presser foot. There are lines on it that will help you know how big your seams will be, and they guide you to keep your fabric straight as you move the fabric right next to the line. Notice the numbers at the top, 3/8, 1/2, etc. Pick one and stick to it. The fabric would be very hard to control or push through if it weren't for something just under the presser foot on the needle plate. What's actually helping to push the fabric through are the feed dogs. No, your sewing machine does not have a pet. The feed dogs are the ridged parts on the needle plate right underneath the presser foot. The feed dogs help move the fabric as you sew. They don't bark, they don't play fetch, and you don't need to feed them, but they do work very hard when you're sewing. This is a bobbin. It goes inside the bobbin case underneath the bobbin plate. I would explain more, but it's too magical. I don't question the bobbin. I just know it exists like a good fairy bestowing her good bobbin magic on my sewing. The bobbin plate slides easily over the bobbin case like so. This is the bobbin winder. You'll be using it to wind the bobbin that goes under the clear plastic bobbin plate in the bobbin case. You'll be pushing it to the right to wind the bobbin, which will disengage the needle, and then when you're ready to sew, you push it back over to the left. Let's practice. Put the bobbin on the bobbin winder, push it to the right, and then push it back to the left. The knob next to the bobbin winder is the spool pin, and this is where the thread lives. Before you ever sew, you need to lift the spool pin. When you're not sewing, the pin goes down, but when you're sewing, the pin must be up. Most spools of thread have a sticker on the top and on the bottom. You need to make a hole in that spool so that the spool pin can fit through the hole in the thread. This is the stitch selector, and I will be telling you which stitch you will need based on the corresponding project that you're using it for. For now, keep it on a 7 or an 8. To sew backwards, simply pull down on this reverse lever. This knob is your tension. If only headaches came with a tension control. But if you try to mess with your tension too much, it will give you a headache. So my recommendation is don't touch this button, leave it about a 4, and if you need to adjust your tension, consult the manual. Oh, and hold on, don't let me forget to tell you about your free arm. So this part in the front actually pops right off, revealing what we call a free arm. And you'll need that if you are ever working on a project with a very small opening or a small space to sew on. Freeing that arm makes sewing on that fabric much more workable. And lastly, we come to the needle clamp. There will be a time that you break a needle and you will have to change your needle. It's not a difficult process, just find the key inside your bag. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and that's it. First, loosen to the left, and then you'll replace the needle. Make sure that the round part is facing the front, the flat towards the back, and then you will replace that needle, righty-tighty, and that's it. You're good to go. And now we're finished with your sewing machine anatomy, and there was no blood or guts or gore anywhere. Now you might want to spend a little time taking a look at each of your machine's parts, making friends, reading books, hanging out, or binge watching Cinderella remakes. Once you know your machine a little better, you'll definitely want to find the perfect place for it. It's best to sew where your feet can reach the ground. And the pedal reached all the way to the ground too. And where there's some room to work. A small desk is perfect.
Great job, that does it for today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video where you'll be threading your machine.
Thanks for hanging out with me today. You're going to be sewing incredible things in no time.